I did kick the door into Tawdry. I'm very, very proud of that. It was the referee's door, but the referee wasn't there at the time, so I probably got away with it.
The photograph of you, bloodied but unbowed, went everywhere with me.
Well, that's really spooky, to be honest, and really sad, because you've done that. Really sad. You should get out more, to be honest. No.
Right then, time for a guest. We are joined today by a man who played 77 times for England, participated in 3 World Cups, and is the subject of one of football's most iconic photographs. Mr. Terry Butcher, welcome to Whistleblowers.
Thank you very much.
We need to deal with the elephant in the room, because I will promise you I won't mention Diego Maradona's brilliant header against England in '86 if you can just say sorry to the Hibs fans right now for that little run of luck.
Oh yeah, that was doomed for that one right from the start. But yeah, I mean, I love the club. I thought it was great potential, but yeah, sometimes when you move, I mean, you look at Amorim and Manchester United. The same things that you were doing at your previous club just weren't working, and we had a difficult time, put it that way.
We mentioned at the top there about that iconic picture, and there are some brilliant photographs in football over the years, but yours is an absolute cracker. And Ian actually has a little story, don't you, about that particular picture?
Yeah, so Terry, I've been around this business for quite a while now. I've been a football writer for 30 years, but back in the day when I counted myself just as a run-of-the-mill football fan in my teens and early 20s, I had the photograph of you, bloodied but unbowed, from that game playing for England in Sweden. I had that photograph. It was just torn from a magazine. Don't know which magazine, why I chose to tear it out. But when I was a student and I was living in different houses, and then I went to become a journalist in Stoke-on-Trent and Nottingham, and then down to London, that photo went everywhere with me in my late teens, early 20s. It was on my wall. I don't know why. As a football fan, there was just something about it that absolutely captured my imagination.
Well, that's really spooky, to be honest, and really sad, because you've done that. Really sad. You should get out more, to be honest. No. A lot of people say to me they've got that picture as well, but they've got a family and they put it above the fire to stop the kids from going on the fire. And then a number of people that ring me up and say, "Look, this is me," and show a picture of me, show a picture of them with the bloodied headband and the red to the top. And they say they go to fancy dress parties and at Halloween in October. So I get flooded with those pictures. But yeah, I mean, it is iconic, and it is that it's nice to be remembered for something like that. But it's just, I just look at it as well. It's just any Englishman worth his salt would have done that and would have carried on and played. Because I was the captain, and it was a World Cup qualifier, so you want to stay on the pitch. But yeah, it was interesting. And the saddest thing is, I didn't have image rights in those days. That was a real bugger, because I would be worth an absolute fortune now if I had image rights. But no, I'm not. Yeah, it's just one of those things. But I've seen lots of incidents where there's been blood and all this sort of thing.
One other thing, 1987, one of my fondest childhood memories, which probably says a lot about where I grew up, was that Old Firm derby. When I think, if like Frank McAvenny was involved, you were involved, Graham Roberts, there was all sorts of shenanigans going on, red cards, 2-goal comeback. I mean, when you look back on that, football doesn't seem to have that level of drama, does it?
No, it certainly doesn't. I've not seen anything like that since, and it was a long, drawn out process. We were in court the next year, and we got me and Chris Woods were found guilty of breach of the peace, and the other 2 got off.
What exactly happened? You got a £250 fine after the game for a breach of the peace, I think, wasn't it? But during the game, Chris Woods got in bother for sort of conducting the Rangers fans, but it did turn into a scrap on the pitch. No,
Chris Woods caught the ball, and McAvenny, I think it was from a corner or a free kick, caught the ball, and McAvenny went up to him to stop him from throwing the ball out quickly, and he sort of rattled his chops, rattled his face. And Chris Woods didn't like that very much. And Chris Woods was the son of a farmer, and he had big muscles, and he was going to hit him, but he couldn't hit him, but he grabbed him by the throat. And obviously Frank couldn't move, so then he pushes him to the side, and then I come in and give him a gentle push, and he went about 30 yards, and then Graham Roberts came in and I think delivered the punch, and then McAvenny got up and he was promptly sent off. Chris Woods was sent off, and I got a yellow card. I did kick the door into Tawdry. I'm very, very proud of that. It was the referee's door, but the referee wasn't there at the time, so I probably got away with it. But I was charged. I was charged after the game when we played. I was charged after that game as well, so I'm pretty much used to that.
So I want to know, what did the referee do for you to kick his door in?
Well, I was just angry. That was the first thing I saw when I came in the tunnel, was the referee's room at Vittoria, and I thought, that'll do. I'll just take my temper out on that, because that was the game that Ian Durant had. Was it Neil Simpson went in for the tackle, and Ian Durant's knee, and his cruciate and everything else went on that. So I was just angry for the wee man, for Ian.
Can we roll back a wee bit, Terry, just for a second? Because I wanted to ask Mark how you react when a player like Terry Butcher kicks the door off the hinges, or when you're refereeing a game where 3 players are getting red cards and the police are getting involved for public affray. How do you handle something like that?
The size of Terry Bush, if he kicked my door and I would just open it and let him in.
The referee wasn't in the door at the same time.
But there's one thing Terry, there's one game I always wanted a referee and we couldn't, was the Old Firm game. And I think when you watch it over the years, it wasn't a game of football, was it? It wasn't. I didn't see much football being played. It was, it must have been difficult for the referees in Scotland to be able to handle an Old Firm game, especially the way it was played out.
Oh yeah, I mean, we had the top referees refereed that game, all the time, sort of thing. But you couldn't put a fledgling in, could you? You couldn't put a younger one in that hasn't really done many games, because that would be too much. But it's intense. It's noise. It's just noisy all the time. You can't talk to people 5 yards away from you, because the wall of noise is just there for 90 minutes plus. So and they're the enemy. They're the main enemy of your job, whether you play for Celtic or whether you play for Rangers. You got to beat them. Not necessarily, you could win the league, but you still got to beat, your rivals. So I think it's enjoyable if you win, and it's actually the end of the world if you lose. And in between, if you draw, you don't know what to do. So it's incredible. You look forward to it, but there's a lot that goes on in the Old Firm games that used to be, sort of off camera, off many cameras. And things like that used to happen, which was norm for that sort of way of playing. Nowadays, you can't do anything, so it's a little bit more sterile.
It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time today. We'll let you get off to check in with your parole officer from 1987. I know you've got to do that every week.
Can I just ask Mark, when in the referees and Arde, well before you, the things that really got me going was they used to obviously I committed a foul, sort of thing, so they'd come and then they wanted to caution me, so they would call me over, and they always used to ask my name. I mean, I'm just thinking, well, do you know who the hell I am? Why do you ask my name? So in today's football, do the referees ask for the name or just flash the card?
No, that never happens now. You flash a card and put a number down. It's a numbers game. But it's interesting because I remember asking a player when I first started, what's your name? And he said, Mickey Mouse. So I stopped asking them the names. I thought, I'm not asking anymore. And we just used to just look at the number, put the number in, and if you got the same number again, because you knew the players. We used to call, and I don't know what it was like in your day, Terry, but when I was refereeing in the Premier League, I called them by the names because I felt we're all in it together. They called me Mark. Therefore, I called them by their first name.
They never called you Mark once.
Yeah.
Come on.
I can't repeat what they used to say to us.
Terry, were you ever tempted to try and give a false name?
Well, 6'4", you must be joking. I mean, everybody knows who I am.
Mr. Butcher, Mr. Butcher.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, no. But the other thing as well was when you commit the foul and the referee calls you over, he says, "Come on, like this," to caution you. I would never go to the referee. I would never go. I'd make it a point of principle of us standing there. So then the referee eventually came to me, and I thought, it's small things. It's small things.
No, but
things.
But that's reverse psychology. Because if a player did that, I'm thinking next time you're not getting that second chance.
Yes. Yeah, I did.
Terry Butcher, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it today, and best of luck with a bigger breakfast
problem.
and Combat to Coffee. Thank you.